It's time to trade the twisty dunes of Zandvoort for something a little quicker. The fourth round for the CUPRA SimRacing Series heads to the legendary Temple of Speed. Autodromo Nazionale di Monza hosts our evening's entertainment, taking the endurance format with a single 60-minute race, as it did all the way back in 2019, putting on a truly thrilling fight between four drivers, which saw Gergo Baldi taking victory that day in his only one of the season. The Hungarian returning to the series today for his debut in 2020. How can he fare, and will he reach the lofty heights as he did in this venue all those months ago? As always, it's myself, Lewis McGlade, alongside me, Robert Wiesenmüller. It's going to be a tough ask to have something on par with last year's race, Rob, but you wouldn't put it past them.
Hello everyone, hello Lewis. Yes indeed, last race at Monza last year. It was amazing, great fight, and on the screen we've got a little overview of who has won races in this championship so far. The drivers in bronze color, they are competing today, and you can see Gergo Baldi, winner last year, returns to one of his favorite tracks here, returns to the CUPRA SimRacing Series.
Of course, he was really fighting up there at the top end of the championship last year. Had that victory here, which took the championship fight to the final round. His only one in the CUPRA SimRacing Series last season. And of course, it was in that truly thrilling fight between himself, Alex Dornan, who ended up winning the championship, Ben Spanky and David Nagy. Ben Spanky and David Nagy, two very important drivers to note, because they're both locked on the top of that list with 3 race wins apiece. Jack Keithley as well, who wasn't a contender that day. I think he had to start from the back, if I remember correctly. He could get his third win and join it and have a 3-way fight for who can get the most wins as well. So we've got a lot to play for here at Monza, and then that's not even including the championship as well. You can see the calendar ahead of us. We're 4 rounds into the season as we head to Monza. Fantastic venue for us. Like we said, it was on the calendar last year. We've got plenty of new tracks to head to throughout the rest of the season as well. And it is a long season, Rob. It's much longer than it was last year. Maybe some of the races carry less importance as they did last year, because you've got a lot of time to sort of come back from it.
Yes, but I think Monza, it's one of these rounds that always has a lot of importance. Even if the points are the same on each of the races, more or less, you can get 200 points here for a victory. So, of course, that's very important. But then it's also a round of prestige. It's such an important track in the history of racing. And I think it will be a very special challenge for these drivers here who are competing today. But yeah, as we said, it's the 4th round of the season, so we already had 3 before. And if you haven't watched the race at Zandvoort, maybe it's time to take a look at the highlights that Lewis has prepared for us.
Welcome to highlights from the 3rd round of the CUPRA SimRacing Series from Zandvoort. The return to the sprint race format would see David Nagy on pole position from Gianmarco Fiduci. Nagy on the inside would have a great run into the first corner, but trying to go around the outside, Fiduci would give it his best effort. Behind, you can see Ben Spanky as well, trying to make a move on Jack Keithley. Further down the pack, Kirill Antonov had a terrible qualifying session and battling with Emre Cihan much further down the order than he would have expected to be. Nearly gets turned by Moritz Lerner. He would eventually get passed by the German, but things would go bad to worse after a technical issue for Kirill Antonov would drop him further down the order. And then this incident between himself and Lucas Verla would send him into the gravel trap and to last place. Further up the order, Jack Keithley would try and make a move on Gianmarco Fiduci with this aggressive lunge through the midpoint of the circuit. Straight back down the inside, Gianmarco Fiduci would return serve and push Jack Keithley off the circuit. Trying to get involved in this, Tim Yarshall would go around the outside heading into the 3rd sector of the circuit. Makes a little bit of contact with Gianmarco Fiduci, as does Jack Keithley, pushing the Italian up the circuit and gaining the position. Jack Keithley would dive into the penultimate corner, making contact with Fiduci and pushing him off the circuit. Ben Spanky would try and take advantage of this, as was Florian Haase, but Moritz Lerner down the inside, he'd have to back out of it, and then he'd go side by side with Emre Cihan into the first corner. Racing was getting pretty dicey here as Ben Spanky would get down the inside of Gianmarco Fiduci as well, nearly pushing him off at turn 3, but gaining the position. Moritz Lerner would make a decent move on Emre Cihan in the dying moments of the race and move himself a little bit further up the order. At the front though, David Nagy would come out the final corner to take a well-deserved victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, his 2nd of his career. He would then back that up with another pole position, which he'd line up alongside Ben Spanky on the run down towards turn 1 again. A slightly more subdued start to the race, race would see them all go single file, with Bence Banky maybe eyeing up a run around the outside. Whilst he did so, he'd fall foul to Tim Yarshall, who would drive his way down the inside and gain second position and try and apply pressure on the Hungarian ahead immediately. Further down the order, Gianmarco Fiducci and Emre Cihan would come to blows, with Kirill Antonov eyeing up the Italian to try and make a move. A bit of a slide from Emre Cihan would slow his momentum down through the very fast turn 8. And then Kirill Antonov would get down the inside of Gianmarco Fiducci in the same way that Jack Keithley did in the previous race. Jack Keithley, behind this after a poor qualifying, was also eyeing up a potential move. He would try going into the hairpin but make contact with the Italian on the apex of the corner, and the Italian would stay ahead. Up the top end of the order, David Noj was still leading clear ahead of Tim Yarshall, who was applying as much pressure as he could, whilst also defending from Bence Banky. Jack Keithley's patience was running thin as he'd fire it down the inside of Gianmarco Fiduci. Florian Haase would then be allowed to get a part of this as he'd go for a switchback move into turn 13 and get down the inside, making a little bit of contact with Gianmarco Fiduci. Next one to try and make a pass was Juan Manuel Gomez, who was having a great run further up the order. He'd get down the inside of Gianmarco Fiduci, but Fiduci would fire one back into turn 4. A little bit of contact on the exit of the corner would allow him up past the position again. Towards the front end of the field, though, Adam Pinches on the last lap would fire it down the inside of Moritz Lerner and gain 4th position, the only move in the top 5, allowing David Noj to take back-to-back victories in the CUPRA SimRacing Series.
Thanks a lot for this, Lewis, and we are right here for the start of the qualifying session. What a race is coming up today. 60 minutes, mandatory pit stop. Should be really exciting.
Could be indeed. Of course, the last time he raced here, I think it was about 8 months ago, it was Bence Banky who was on the pole position from Gergo Baldi. So considering that front row, are we going to get the same kind of one today? I think we might see a little bit come akin to how it was in Formula 1. We'll see a little bit of stacking up here as everyone's going to try and find themselves a slipstream partner. We've spoken about how there's a lot of teams out there on the grid where they've got a lot of drivers that they can all work together. There are some teams, though, or some that only have one driver, or even the independents like Emre Cihan. Who do they work with, Rob?
Yeah, it's always hard to find someone. Mira, indeed, the team of Gergo Baldi and David Notch, they are here with 4 cars. But before we come to the entry list, let's take a look at the championship standings. Here we are, leaderboard results calculated in. Bence Banky was the fastest here, setting a 1 minute 56.340, over a tenth faster than the second fastest driver, Moritz Lerner, so very impressive, but he's still over 100 points back behind David Notch, and Moritz Lerner, who hasn't taken a podium position yet in this season, due to his consistency, is sitting in second place. But David Notch, that's the man in front of the field here.
Yeah, and looking for that 4th victory in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. You can see his accolades there. Has been in RaceRoom for a fair while. Has done some good things across his tenure. More so recently, has started doing very well. Of course, you can see their 2nd place in the Hungaroring Esports Championship with a lot of the Hungarian drivers that we have on the grid. And of course, 3rd place in the Esports WTCR in 2019 at the final. That was at Malaysia. You can see in the background of all this, you can see everyone stacking up in the background, about ready to go for their first qualifying laps. It's pretty busy out there.
Yeah,
Here's our entry list.
You can see who's in which car, and it is the Euronics gaming duo in the dark blue cars. They are blue at the front, Florian Haase in front of Tim Yarshall. Lots of Hungarians on the grid today, and all of our usual suspects returning to the championship. So let's focus on the qualifying session. Qualifying is on right now.
Yeah, there's a few new drivers on there. Curious to see what is going to happen here with Florian Haase, who's the number 5 car heading the field, the number 9 car being Tim Yarshall. Behind this, you've got Moritz Lerner as well, so he's picking up slipstream, though he's made a mistake at Rettifilio, so Moritz Lerner's just dropped off the back of this and allowed Kirill Antonov through, who's now basically got a double slipstream ahead if he's close enough. And I don't really think he is, Rob. I think he's a little bit too far off these two to really take any sort of advantage. Looking backwards from Florian Haase is going to get out of the way immediately from Tim Yarshall. Nicely worked between the pair of those. Ferrari could take a note from those two to how to do some slipstreaming around here. That was very nice.
Yeah, Haase gave a monster slipstream to Yarshall in the first sector. 33.9 there. I don't think many drivers will match that, because he had a slipstream on the first straight and on the full second straight as well.
as he leaves the second Lesmo. And the run down the hill and then back up towards Ascari. Florian Haas is going to get out of Kirill Antonov's way. He did give a little bit of slipstream between the two Lesmo corners and then outside, although he doesn't actually hop out of the way quite as quickly. Now he does, and he's basically got to let almost the entire train through. He does drop in behind Kirill Antonov for now and sits in front of Moritz Lerner. Who's behind that? We've got Jack Keithley as well. Obviously, he was picking up a little bit of slipstream from his Williams Esports teammate, Tim Yarshall, being the first one to cross the line. It's only a 15-minute qualifying session. A reminder, it's a 60-minute race with a forced pit stop. We'll get more into that later on. And everything's going to be very, very interesting. Starting at the front, as much as it's a track that you can overtake at, still starting on the pole, starting at the front is very, very important. Gogo Baldi won here from second place on the grid. Bence Banky was one of the real contenders for victory from first. Tim Yarshall to the line. What is he going to set? It should be a 56 something. It's a 56.753. Decent time to open the back. Oh, it tells me now on my screen it's a 9.74. Fantastic. Emery Chihan immediately goes to an 8.46. Goes straight onto the provisional pole. Nice lap from the independent driver.
Yes, it shows maybe you don't need actually a teammate here. We speculated all these teams, they will work together, they will go to the front, and now it's the only independent driver in the championship fight who's at the front. Oh, Banky just went past her.
Yeah, 7 flat for Bence Banky. A reminder that that's a few tenths off of what we saw in the pre-qualifier and even what we saw in the practice session prior to this. I think it was a 5 that we saw in the practice session. Zoltan Suti for Mirror Esports going to cross the line and picking up a nice big slipstream here from Gergo Baldi. Across the line goes to second place. David Noj up to the pole. And if he does get the pole here, that'll be his 3rd consecutive pole position. I believe maybe his 4th. In the CUPRA SimRacing Series, because he had the first ever pole position in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, had both of them back in Zandvoort and is looking pretty strong here today.
Looking pretty strong indeed, and he's got the team working for him. 56.6, that's a good time. That's almost as fast as the fastest practice time.
Gergo definitely sacrificed himself a little bit there to allow his teammates and compatriots to gain a little bit of time. I'm sure he'll have that fed back to him pretty soon. Moritz Lerner's got Jack Keithley ahead of him. Maybe doesn't take too much of an advantage there on the run down towards Parabolica, and maybe getting a little bit held up by his teammate here a little bit, would you say, Rob?
Looked like it. He was getting held up a bit on the exit. It was all the way up to the right side.
Didn't look ideal, slipstreaming between the two of them. I don't think he'll be particularly pleased with that. Goes to 4th though, nice work. That's a decent time, especially considering I think the whole exit there of Parabolica was a little bit balked. Could have done a bit better job here. We look at our current pole sitter. Obviously they're running as little fuel as possible, so I'm assuming anyway. And so they're escaping after every lap. Because a tyre wear around here shouldn't be particularly high.
No, it's not very high, but I think it's still the optimal strategy to put as low fuel as possible and just do 1 hot lap with the draft. Perhaps give a draft to your teammate on the next lap. You can make it even more ideal.
This time it'll be Zoltan Suti leading Gergo Baldi, and then Bence Zupanek, and then David Noj at the back of the train. I would get the feeling that of this quartet, of course all teammates, that Noj will always be at the back of the train, and he'll always be getting the mega slipstream, and then across 3 runs the other ones will switch over to allow another one to get a better slipstream. There's Gergo Baldi on his return to the CUPRA SimRacing Series. It's great to see Gergo Baldi back. We were wondering at the start of the season if we were going to see him this season. Same with Alexander Dornadin. We've not seen Dornadin, but we do get Gergo back, which is good. Very talented driver. Maybe just making a little bit of a mistake there through the Rettifilio, but should back him up enough to get a decent run with his teammate Zoltan Suti ahead. He may be just delaying Bence Zupanek, who's directly behind. Whether he gets out of the way or not, I don't feel he will. He'll feel the slipstream. I mean, personal best in the first sector. I'd keep going with that. Oh, very nice as well through the De La Rogier chicane. That was tasty. This could be a very nice sector 2 from Gergo Baldi. after starting from second place here and being victorious last season, more so through lack of mistakes. He made the least mistakes of the top four, basically. David Noj, a bit of a note on him. He was leading until 5 minutes to go and then had a disconnection from the race. So, you know, maybe it was a what-if scenario for Noj. And now sitting at the back of this train, maybe he is looking for a victory that escaped him last year. Things are looking good for Gogo Baldi. He's got some decent slipstream and picking up very nicely through Ascari. I think David Noj as well is.
Yeah, I think Noj is on a faster lap because he's closed the gap to Superneck.
Yeah, right. This could be a mega lap from Noj. And he's like, this is timed very, very well because he's not going to catch Superneck. So he's going to be able to make the most of the apex here at Parabolica as they run to the outside of the circuit. Zoltan Suti then leading Baldi, Zupanek. Zoltan Suti, leading Baldi, then Zupanek, and then David Noj to the line. Where are they all going to slot themselves? Further up the order, you would assume. Baldi's definitely going to improve. Goes to 6th place.
56.
David Noj. That. That is a maddening lap. What was the practice time?
Practice time was a 0.5, but pre-qualifying was a 0.3.
Yeah.
So Noj just beat all of these times, and he's almost 4 tenths ahead of Benz Banki.
That is the slipstream working for you. Not a single slipstream, not a double, but a triple slipstream. And now we look at Juan Manuel Gomez, who set a very, very nice first sector, but I feel he's going to fall foul in the second. There we go. There's not much he can do. I'm sure he's driving perfectly fine, but if he doesn't have the slipstream, and the Snow Shatting guys aren't particularly working as one big team. Of course, they've lost one driver in the form of Lucas Verla after receiving a fairly large penalty for an incident between himself and Kirill Antonov back at Zandvoort. We did catch that one in the race. It was also in the highlights as well.
Yeah, so Gomez on a good lap here, but he just doesn't have the slipstream. There's nothing he can do. He can't set this kind of time without the help of a teammate.
No. We'll see what he can do towards the line. We'll see, because it looked like it's still a pretty decent final sector. Only 11th. I feel bad for him. Speaking of a bit down the order, Jack Keithley only down in 10th place. Kirill Antonov down in 9th. Things not really going very well for them. Same with Gianmarco Fiducci as well. Home soil for him. The sole Italian on the grid on Italian soil. And he's only in 12th place, of course, having impressed a lot earlier through the season. He's lost a teammate as well in the form of Slaven Stulic, who's decided that he didn't want to take part in the rest of the season. But, you know, the less said about that, the better. This is a train.
Yeah, that's a train forming. And it's Mira once again.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the Mirror Esports train, isn't it? And he's just locked onto the back of it.
In front of them, it's Banki and Juhas. And I think Banki is going to give a slipstream to Christian Juhas. And he definitely needs one, because he's last.
Yeah, Christian's not even set a time at the moment. You can see from this angle how much that slipstream makes an effect. Look at how much he's gaining, even on the run down towards Rettifilio. Benz Banki is just immediately out of the way. That, in my opinion, shows how impressive that lap was.
Oh, he overshot.
I think he still might gain. Oh. Did Benz Banki cut that to give more of a slipstream to Christian Juhas?
I'm pretty sure he did. It's the same tactic we saw with Hasse.
But that's what I was saying there with the Mirror Esports guys. That's what makes that lap so impressive that they did. It's particularly from Zoltan Suti, is that he didn't drop back towards the guys behind, even with the slipstream, and sort of just kept on it in the front. That's why he's up in 3rd place. There's another cut for Benz Banki to give further slipstream to Christian Juhas. It wasn't a good first sector though for Christian. Of course, we saw that huge mistake at Rettifilio.
Yeah.
You can see behind us the Mirror Esports guys have dropped a driver as well. Who's that in goal? Is that Noj? Yeah, it is. Noj is the one that's not part of that train.
And Suti is pulling them once again. They're all really close to the front though, so...
Kirill Antonov improves to 8th place. Christian Juhas, decent 2nd sector. Oh, big cuts there from Benz to try and get himself a little bit further ahead.
Superneck is on a good lap, but that was close to a cut as well. Yeah, he cut the
He
track
did.
and he abandons the lap.
And Gergo Baldi improved. Where is he? He's currently sat in 6th place.
Yeah, he's also in the pits, he also escaped. So only driver on an improvement at the moment is this guy here, Adrenalin. Also one of our camera cars today.
First time we've had him as a camera car this season. He's very relaxed, or at least he looks it anyway. As he's a bit further down the order, down in 20th place. We'll see him come across the second sector split. It's a decent improvement, and he could move himself up towards the top 15, provided he nails the final sections. And he's got the time to do it as well. 47 seconds left on the clock before we end the session. Pretty much everyone else has escaped, considering it's such a long lap. David Noj, the car ahead, the number 6 car, who is basically locked into that pole because there's no one on track that can beat that time, and certainly not a big enough group to do so either. So it looks like it's going to be a 3rd consecutive pole position from David Noj here in the CUPRA SimRacing Series of 2020, and what an impressive lap time it was, courtesy with a lot of help from his Mirror Esports teammates. We'll see if those lot can work together in the race. Adrenalin towards the line, the German, who's currently sat in that 20th spot. Is he going to improve on time? Maybe a little bit, I think he did, but not on position. Still stays in 20th place.
So yeah, confirmation of the results. Notch and pole, Banky second. Huge gap between first and second. We don't always see that. Suti on his return in P3 ahead of Löhner. Then Zupanek and Baldi only on P6. Emre on P7. Good performance from him. Then Antonov. And we'll just have a short break before we go into the race.
Well, Noj had a very, very impressive pole position there. Is it going to translate itself into a race win? The second endurance race of the season, round 4, as we head to Monza. It was an incredible race 8 months ago. Will it perform the same now? We'll see. Noj on pole position from Bence Banky after a crazy slipstream from the Mirror Esports bunch. Zoltan Suti with a great qualifying in 3rd position. They're about ready to go. Moritz Lerner as well. The way out qualifying Jack Keithley up in 4th place. Is he going to finish there? We are underway here then in Monza. It is a fantastic launch from David Noj as he pulls everyone over to the right-hand side of the track on the run down towards the Rettifilio for the first time. Moritz Lerner's fancying to go all the way around the outside as he picks it up, and maybe he's going to try and go up into 2nd position. Oh, he was definitely trying to force his way through there. He is going to get by on Zoltan Suti. It is going to be David Noj leading Banky. Moritz Lerner, who's up onto the podium. Zoltan Suti, Bence Zupanek, Emre Cihan. Great stuff from him, the independent driver, up in 6th place. We focus on him leading Gergo Baldi, the victor here last year, and Tim Yarshall, who had a couple of podiums last time out. Kirill Antonov, the previous championship leader as well, down in 9th place. And Jack Keithley, after a fairly poor qualifying, diving it down the inside into Taylor Roger, making contact. Oh, it's Tim Yarshall who's been spun off. Oh my goodness. Way down the order he will go, spun off on the very first lap, and there's massive damage on the front end of that car, Rob.
Yeah, he picked up a lot of damage there. That's how fast it can go here in Monza. Aggressive driving in the opening minutes on the opening lap, and David Notch already trying to break the slipstream there from Bence Banky, who's in 2nd place, and Moritz Löhner on podium course.
Absolutely. Not had a podium this season. Like we said, he's running 2nd of the championship, joint 2nd through, for the most part, his just relentless consistency with the results. It's 4th, it's 4th, it's 5th. I think then it was either a 5th or a 6th place. Just always there or thereabouts. Now running on the podium position and having to defend from Zoltan Suti as David Noj pulls them all over every which way. You can see the train follows all the way down. You can see also in the background there, Tim Yarshall dumped off. And very unfortunate there. That was very much not deserved. And I'm sure that'll be looked at after the race between Kirill Antonov and Jack Keithley. It does promote those to a position though. So Antonov now in 8th place and Jack Keithley in 9th, leading Florian Haase, who's got himself inside the top 10 courtesy of that. We look back from David Noj, and this may be the very first move for the race lead, as Bent Banky is going to be able to get to the inside. Is he going to go for it though, or is he going to remain patient? The Red Bull Racing esports driver, of course he's not going to remain patient. Straight down the inside, Zoltan Suti as well thinking about it. Moritz Lerner thinking about it. Oh, as he's trying to get involved in it. Bent Banky then to the race lead. The first change as Zoltan Suti's gone down to the gone on the cutback. That's not really going to work as we head through Curva Grande. I think that was Ergo Baldi in the background who'd skipped the first chicane of the Rettifilio. Oh no, it might not have been. It might have been a little bit further down. It might be Gianmarco Fiducci actually, on hindsight. Moritz Lerner then, touch of contact there with Zoltan Suti, squeezing him a little bit. Suti and Zupanek will really want to get by Moritz Lerner and assist their teammate and championship leader David Noj, who's currently running in that second place, and I'm sure he'll be actually pretty content to stare at the back of Bent Banky at least for a while and maybe just conserve. Who was that diving in the background? That might have been Gergo Baldi on the inside of Emre Cihan, certainly was. Just saw the top of his car with the black roof as Kirill Antonov is also trying to get involved in this and try and get himself further up the order. They're going to go side by side. Jack Keatley is giving a little bit of a bump draft to Kirill Antonov to move his way up the order, and Emre Cihan goes from 6th to 9th in one corner. Not ideal, Rob.
Not ideal indeed, but still a better start than the Euronics gaming duo. Hasse only in 10th, and Yarshel dead last with a lot of damage on his car. That certainly didn't go according to plan. And I think it's another one for the stewards. They already had a lot to do this season. Might be another one. And Banky here, he has to defend now against David Notch.
You're getting the vibes of this being another fantastic race. It was absolutely crazy last year, and it's looking to be the same, at least over the opening 2 laps. Bent Banky is going to lead it. At the moment, Moritz Lerner's the closest one to be making a move, but look at the slipstream. He backed off just enough, did David Noj, and look at him come. He is all over the place. Oh, we're going to be 3 wide, I think, because Moritz Lerner's just about there. I don't know if Bent Banky realises they're 3 wide, just about slots in line does Moritz Lerner, going all the way around the outside of Rettifilio. Oh, that was a good move from David Noj, aggressive, bold, and up into the race lead again as Moritz Lerner just slots himself ahead of Zoltan Suti. That was mega tight as the top quintet trying to run away from Gergo Baldi. Looking back from David Noj, you can see nothing but the front end of Bent Banky's car, who's going to instantly fire it down the inside of De La Rogier. Moritz Lerner was thinking about throwing it as well. Backed out of it in hindsight, thinking that's maybe not a great idea, and David Noj then drops the lead. He only led for basically one corner around Curva Grande, and then drops it again to Bent Banky, who's very much hungry for a race victory as well, that dropped out of his hands through a mistake very, very late in the race. Banky was the one that was leading until the final mistake from him. It was within like the sort of final 3 or 4 minutes, and that was what allowed Gergo Baldi to take the lead and take control of that race.
How perfect did Bent Banky take the chicane there. He passed Notch and then immediately had a little gap, but with this slipstream in effect here, it won't help him. Just a few more laps and Notch will be all over him again. Probably not even laps, probably just the next straight.
That's a drive-through penalty for Richard Dobser for ignoring slowdown warnings. That'll be through track excursions, potentially through Ascari, or maybe even, I don't know if it does it on the exit of the second Lesno. But nevertheless, he's ignored some slowdowns and received a drive-through for his troubles. Here we go then, slipstream battle again, as I can see in the background, Gergo Baldi and Kirill Antonov are trying to slipstream their way back up to this, and they're dragging Jack Keithley with them. Bent Banky then defends down the inside, almost a fruitless effort. But we'll see if he can make that one stick. David Noj to the outside is going to be heavy on the brakes. I think he's going to try the same thing as he did last time and go all the way around the outside. He's not as far alongside as he was in the previous lap. They are going to be 3 wide leaving the corner as Moritz Lerner trying to get involved there. Zoltan Suti now going to back his teammate on the outside of Curva Grande as we fire our way through. It's not really going to work, and I think Moritz Lerner is going to be up to second place by the time we hit the De La Rogier chicane. I think that's looking pretty handy. Bent Banky giving the slipstream and trying to make things awkward behind for David Noj, who's on the inside for De La Rogier. Moritz Lerner's going to try and go around the outside whilst this is happening. Bent Banky's going to try and run away. Moritz Lerner up to second place. Fantastic work for him. Great move. He's just going to have to try and work on nailing these 2 corners and not allowing Bent Banky to run away with it, because if he can break that slipstream now, he is gone.
Yes, this is the biggest gap we've seen for the lead. Maybe Banky can check out.
He's going to give it a damn good go. I don't think it's quite going to work. I don't think that gap is big enough to pull out. It's up to 7/10 though. We'll see what happens to Ascari. I feel David Noj is feeling this. He didn't even look, didn't even hint. Just sat on the back of the German and tried pushing him. And I feel he is looking at Bence Banky running away here, thinking, look, let's not defend, let's not fight. Let me push you, and we'll close up to the back of him, and then we can resume this battle.
Yes, and he's got his teammate Suti behind him as well. And then another teammate with Supernex, so they're not going to do anything crazy. Dobson, meanwhile, currently stationary, so maybe he's out of the race, maybe he's also just taking his penalty. Either way, he's going a lap down. Jihan has been off. Jihan down to 22nd.
Yeah, no idea what's happened to him after a very good run. Well down the order. And I noticed that Kirill Antonov as well has got by Gergo Bowdy. Oh, there goes Kirill Antonov. Oh, also dragging Ben Supernek down the inside of his teammate. And through all of that, Gergo Bowdy's going to try and take advantage. Jack Keithley's going to give Gergo Bowdy the push and try and get him by, then switches up positions and thinks, I can get by Gergo Bowdy here if I sit on the back of Kirill Antonov. I don't think he's quite judged that well as we lose them behind the trees. There's Kirill Antonov on his left-hand side in the black car. That's last year's race winner, Gergo Bowdy, who's on the inside. He's going to back out of this one, surely. He's not really there alongside, but he's going to try and commit to it on the brakes. There's contact between the two of them through the apex of the corner. Jack Keithley all over the back of Gergo Bowdy's car as they fire it through the De La Roger chicane. Kirill Antonov very much dropping off the back of this. Jack Keithley down the inside in aggressive fashion. Oh my goodness me, and pushes Gergo Bowdy off on the exit of the corner for good measure. Not the greatest move that I've seen from Jack Keithley. That was pretty aggressive, but nevertheless, he's up the position. And that has cost Gergo Bowdy a lot of time, yeah.
Yeah, he lost so much momentum there. Maybe he got a slowdown.
Slowdown, yeah, that's what I was wondering. So he did have to back out an awful lot from that. And he's now over a second off the back of Jack Keithley. And I feel has fair right to be a little bit frustrated. That 7-8 car train has very much fractured, but I will note that Moritz Lerner's closed it down from 7/10 now to 5. He doesn't look that flustered. He seems all right.
Yeah, nothing's lost yet.
I'd be seething.
I think it's good for Hasse though, because he's got now a car in front of him that is really fast. So maybe Baldi can close the gap and maybe he can pull Hasse with him.
And Haas is a very smart driver. He will probably just sit there and just push and just try and gain up to the higher order and think bigger picture as we see Kirill Antonov going around the outside of Bence Zupanek through Retafilio. Bence Zupanek pushes him over the curb and Jack Keithley was going to try and get advantage of that. Didn't quite work though. And whilst this is all going on, the top four have gone. The fighting's been a little bit too much back here, and it's just allowed the top four to pull out to the tune of 2 seconds, and that's going to be a hard margin to close back in over the course of this race. Jack Keithley then eyeing this up as Kirill Antonov's going to go around the outside of Zupanek. Oh, that's actually a quality move. That was brave going around the outside there. Jack Keithley trying to measure his way down the inside of Ben Zupanek. He's going to dive it into the first Lesmo and does so. That was very much trying to squeeze his way in. Excuse me, pardon me, coming through. And gets that position done. That was a quality move from Kirill Antonov to go around the outside of De La Roger like that. That is very, very nice. It's not quick. He's lost a lot of time in doing so. But bravo, that's an impressive move. Unfortunately, the gap's very much pulled out.
Pinchos lost some places now. I think it was a connection issue.
We saw, what was it? It was Kirill Antonov, as he's going side by side through Ascari. Touch of contact there with Attila Dina, who's made a good effort up the grid, moving up from 20th place to 15th. And nearly gaining another one on Adam Pinches there, carrying the momentum out of the corner. Pinches there, AAA Esports, of course, the recent signing to them, he had a good run back in Zandvoort in the previous race in the championship, finished in 4th place, and like you say, through issues, has now dropped down to 14th. Things not really working out for Adam Pinches this time by Moritz Lerner's, very much on the back of Bence Banky now, and the race victory, the battle for it resumes after 12 minutes into this race. Now, could Moritz Lerner go from finishing off the podium in all of the opening 5 races of the season to potentially winning one? That would be pretty impressive. There's not one in the CUPRA SimRacing Series as Moritz Lerner.
Still a long way to go, and also pit stops still to come. Pit stop window will open relatively soon.
Of course, the standard rule within the 60-minute endurance races is they must make a pit stop to change at least 2 tyres. They only ever change 2 tyres, so you won't see anyone taking 4 unless they're rookies, as Pinches and Fiducci are switching for 15th place. As Tim Yarsha as well as part of that. Fiducci's been off. Is that Fiducci off with Pinches? No, he's escaped.
Fiducci out of the race.
That's a
Second
shame.
one to retire. Dobson has retired before. Let's see with Sheehan if he's got any damage on his car, because he's now running in last place. Doesn't quite look like it.
It's a little scuffed on the front left, is it? Can't really see on my screen, I'm afraid. You'll be a better judge of that, Rob.
Can't really tell anything from here.
Seems okay. Of course, no one's got quite the level of damage, at least driving around from what we've seen at the moment, is what Tim Yarshall does as he moves up past Attila Dina. And, that would have been a brave move on the inside of Ascari. And he moved his way up into 14th place. Spirited effort back up the grid, by the way, from 24th to 14th with that car. And that is some nice work that he's put on. Oh, so there's a little bit of contact there between Farkash and Pinches, I think it was. Oh, my goodness me. And pushing each other about. I think that was Attila Dina getting squeezed off there on the run into Parabolica. That wasn't so friendly from Bence Farkash. Speaking of a different Bence Banky still leading the race. Red Bull Racing Esports, Moritz Lerner's being very, very patient. And this is the thing, between, like, we've brought this up before, is that Moritz Lerner's actually a very smart driver and is very, very patient. And sometimes it's to his detriment. As we see some people moving about. I think it's Jack Keithley and Kirill Antonov, was it, who switched positions there? But yeah, Moritz Lerner is very, very patient to his detriment. That's why he finished like very consistently, but maybe not onto the podium and where he could have been on his pace. David Noj as well is in the same boat. He is very, very patient. Sometimes he can be a little bit aggressive, but he's also got his teammate behind him, Zoltan Suti, who won't do anything silly to David Noj. So for Bence Banky, he's got 3 drivers who will almost wait this out. See if that works in their favour though, as Adam Pinches has now dropped behind. I think Adam Pinches has been off the road as he switched positions with Attila Dina a little bit further down the order. There is Attila Dina, who's now got Adam Pinches ahead of him, as Christian Newharsh is looking down the inside into the first of the Lesmos. Not an ideal race for Pinches. Pit window open though. It is open this lap. We do see normally that it's an early pit stop. We saw this back in Imola. It was the earlier pit stops that seemed to work out. Of course, Bence Banky was the one that went the longest and tried making something of that. But Rob, here with the slipstream, do you see some early pit stops, or is everyone going to stay out in their train and just hope to stay in line?
Yeah, last year we saw some later pit stops here as well. It was kind of the exception. I think it all depends what the other cars do in the group. Mira have got some options. They've got 2 cars in the leading group, 1 Red Bull car from Bence Banky, and looks like he's going already into the pits, right? No, he's not. He was just going over a little bit to the right side, but no one's pitting yet from the front group.
If I'm in a train, I wouldn't pit. The only person that I could see maybe pitting is Tim Yarsha.
He's not.
Doesn't pit. He's the only one, because it's kind of like he's kind of got a little bit to play for to come into the pit lane.
I feel like Gian has to pit, yeah.
We'll see if he does. Is he going to hold right? It looks like he is. Doesn't. No one pits. No one takes that first stop. Bence Farkash down the inside of Adam Pinches. Pinches going to muscle his way through on the apex. That was always going to happen. As Pinches is trying to fire his way up the order. Attila Dina defending from Christian Newharsh behind, and he is going to hold that position of P17 as we see these two going side by side through Curva Grande. Bence Farkash on the inside of that corner is going to hold that position, but Adam Pinches, the racy Hungarian, going to try and find a way past his compatriot at any point, maybe for a look down the inside there, as we've got a battle for the race lead. Moritz Lerner around the outside.
Slow down for Banky.
Yeah, I was going to say that must be a slowdown, which is what cost him last year. It was an excursion. I think it was through the first chicane, through the Rettifilio, and had to slow down from that, and that was what cost him the victory. And we said at that time, it was whoever actually made the mistake first that was actually in the advantage, because Alex Dornadon also made the same mistake and Ben Spanky made the same mistake. And because Gergo Baldi made that mistake first, he then moved up courtesy of everyone else's mistake. Ben Spanky now dropped into third position. I don't think he'll stay there for very long. Zoltan Citi behind and David Noj ahead. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a swap at least one way. But will Noj try and make a move on Moritz Lerner?
And if you're new to RaceRoom, if you don't know what a slowdown is, basically if you go over the track limits and you know it gets worse when you do it more than once, you have to give back the time that you gained. And yeah, if it adds up, if you do it a few laps after each other, then sometimes you get a really big slowdown, so you have to wait like 1 second or so to give the position back, to give the time back that you gained. And in this case, 2 positions lost for Ben Spanky, who's pushing, of course. All these drivers here, they are the best in the world. They are driving on the limit. There's been now over 10,000 people who participated in a round of the CUPRA SimRacing Series, so certainly very high level of drivers here on the first grid. But still, these mistakes can happen, especially if you try to go as close as possible to the limit. Lerner leads ahead of Notch. We've got the first cars in the pit lane. Antonov is in the pits, Baldi's in the pits, and Zupanek as well.
Of course, as we say every round, if you are enjoying what you're watching here, you can come and take part in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. It is open for entries, as we see people leaving the pit lane and in a train as well. So this could be great work for Zupanek, Baldi and Kirill Antonov, who is very much a part of this train. It's just about whether Kirill Antonov kind of remains smart at this point and thinks that I'm not going to fight you now because we can gain big here when it comes to on the top lot, the top 4. We can gain. To see if anyone does remain patient. You saw Moritz Lerner and David Noj sitting. Basically, Noj didn't even try anything. He just sat behind Moritz Lerner, and equally in the same boat, Moritz Lerner didn't defend, didn't even look to defend. He left that door wide open, and David Noj did not go for it, because these two are now going to start working together and try and build that gap, or at least for the top 4. They just need to make sure they're building as big a gap on Zupanek, Baldi and Antonov, and also the likes of Keith Lee and Juan Manuel Gomez. They need to make sure that gap doesn't come down. But yeah, we'll see if Norris tries anything, and if he's leaving the door wide open as well, we'll see if Ben Spanky tries anything. Another lap complete as we had 20 minutes completed into this race here at Monza. The endurance format, a 60-minute race with the pit stop window wide open. There goes Ben Spanky. Is he going to try anything down the inside? He's actually going to commit to it. I think he might well do so on David Noj, and he certainly is, firing it down the inside, back up into second place. David Noj did not fight that at all.
Clean pass from Banky. Seems to be a bit faster at the moment. We've got more cars in the pit lane. Gomez now pitting right now.
Yeah, Gustavo Frigoto as well with him. We see a bit of a change of position on the tower as well between Farkash and Tiladina. There you go, you can see them switching again as Christian Juhasz as well has been passed by Tiladina. These are that trio that have already stopped. You can see that by the green marker next to their name. Anyone with a black marker, they've not stopped yet. Anyone with a green marker, they have. That was a big jolt from Gergo Baldi. That was a monster push. He is not messing about here. He's saying, look, Bent, you're my teammate. Let's get this done. Curious about Gergo Baldi. If you look here, he's one of the very few drivers that I know that races not using a headset.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Because pretty much everyone uses a headset. I certainly do. How else are you going to talk to your teammates and tell them to get out of your way?
Yeah, I wonder if they're even talking, but I think they must be. The way they are, they coordinated the slipstream and the qualifying, they must be talking to each other.
But where would the microphone be? Because if he's not got a headset on, he's not got a microphone. So I'm assuming Gogo's just listening to what they're saying and being like, okay, I'll react to that. Of course, very, very interesting to see someone without a headset. It's just one of those unique features that we only get to know by using the driver cams. Right, Ben Spanky, is he going to do as David Noj did and sit there? You would very much find it unlikely. And there he goes, looks to the inside into Rettifilio, drops back in line. I did see contact on the back of Moritz Lerner, so he did give a bit of a push. So he is remaining patient, at least for now. He's ahead of his main championship rival. But who is joint with second in the championship? It is Bent Banky, right? Who's joint with Moritz Lerner?
The Banky's 10 points behind Moritz Lerner. They're very close to each other, so there's 200 points for a victory here. 10 points doesn't mean so much. David Notch, on the other hand, he's got almost a 100-point lead.
Indeed. And that's kind of what you want to start chopping down today. On a race like this, where it is double points, of course, we normally play for 100 points, whereas obviously today we're playing for a little bit more than that as Jack Keithley exits the pit lane ahead of Zupanek, and they will hopefully all start working together and try and push their way up. But that shows it's been a decent game from Zupanek, Baldi and Antonov.
Yeah, but not that much.
Not really.
They're not really in a position to challenge the top 4.
No, not unless the top 4 really start battling, which I really don't see happening until sort of like the final 10-15 minutes, when like they'll go hammer and tongs.
Perhaps we've got a little bit of time to see the debutants in this race. Of course, Garibaldi, he's kind of a debutant, at least for the season. The fastest of the debutants at the moment is Ben Farkas in P11.
Doing a decent job. We've seen him battling with the likes of Attila Dina, and has Ferenc Nemes behind him as well. And these lot all sort of battling in their own little bit. Who's that? Who's pitted? Bent Banky. First of the top 4 into the pit lane.
Interesting.
That's very curious. Is that too early? Because the top 3, they surely aren't going to respond to that. I wouldn't. If I'm in a train and I've got the slipstream, Bent Banky's going to leave the pit lane without slipstream. We've got quite a lot of drivers all jumping in at the moment as well. So you've got Bent Banky, Christian Juhas, Corentin Ponto, I believe, as well as a part of that, and Barner as well. Or is Tim Yarshall's the other one? I think.
Let's see from Keithley's camera. Let's see where Banky is coming out. I think that's him there. That's quite a significant gap.
To be fair, he'll have the overspeed on him, and it was, what was it? It was about 3.5, 4 seconds prior to the pit stop. Looks in that vein, maybe has come down half a second or so. The thing is, though, is that right now this is all about Bent Banky's lap times. Meanwhile, the top 4, they've all got slipstream to play with, and you know for a fact that David Noj won't really fight Moritz Lerner at the moment, that he will sit on the back of him and just push him. Thus allowing Moritz Lerner, I mean, like, even if it's only 2 or 3 tenths a lap faster from a little bit of pushing, like, it's still faster, you know? And if it's 2 or 3 tenths, it's a second every 4 laps, and if you stay out for 4 laps and you've gained that second, that's actually quite hard to close down. Moritz Lerner then leading the way, having not had a podium this season, and the opening 5 races does lie second in the championship, though. The Williams Esports driver, his teammate Jack Keithley, one of the first that haven't stopped all 3 of them into the pit lane. Wow, that I would not have called.
Collisions are turned off in the pit lane, so don't wonder if you see something funny here, like what just happened between Suti and Notch. Just to ensure that no one blocks the pit box of another driver.
Yeah. Weren't you in a race once where you didn't have a pit box?
Yeah, sometimes that happened, but luckily on RaceRoom it can't really happen.
That was a few years ago, and not on RaceRoom, thankfully. That's not an issue that we can have here. I wasn't there in that race, I just remember that story and I laughed at it. We'll see where Bent Banky comes out in comparison to that trio. We'll see him run down. I'm thinking it's looking pretty good at the moment based on that view that he had on the run down towards turn 1. There they are. He is very much a part of this. Decent gain from Moritz Lerner there, as Bent Banky's going to get himself involved in this. Oh! I don't really know why he didn't predict that. And now he's going to get a monster slowdown from that, because he's already had one this race, so that was a fair while ago. So
this is good news for Lerner.
Lerner, yeah, this is huge news for Lerner. How much more time? Surely he's got to drop back behind. Yeah, there he goes. He has dropped back behind David Noj. But he's going to look down the inside. No, he's still got more time. He's still got way more time. Oh, that's big. That's out to over a second now. Has he got any more? You'd think so. Out to 1.5 seconds off the back of David Nagy. A very costly mistake from Ben Spanky. It's not over yet, though. And this will give that little bit of extra fire to the likes of Ben Stupanek and Gergo Bowdy, Kirill Antonov and Jack Keithley behind. Florian Haase, your current race leader, yet to stop. 32 minutes to go in the race, so not even halfway yet. Plenty of time in the window. And he is going to remain out, the Euronics Gaming driver. It's not been a good round for Euronics Gaming. Tim Yarshall binned on the first lap between Kirill Antonov and Jack Keithley. Leandro Vera there for Snow Shatten, the lone Snow Shatten out at the front. Gustavo Frigotto and Juan Manuel Gomez have both been into the pit lane, running in 15th and 16th at the moment. And to be fair, running pretty well, at least Juan Manuel Gomez. Really not far off the back of Martin Barner, who's not far off in turn from Jack Keithley. Here's Zoltan Sciuti on the back of David Nagy. And you can see there, Ben Spanky, he's 2 seconds back. That, in my opinion, was a very, very silly mistake. Because he knew that they were going to come across, and there was no point in trying to gain at that point.
Yeah, it's always difficult. Of course, the cars coming from the pit lane, they count as coming off track, so they have to leave the room to Bunky. But at this point, he was taking a lot of risk for, I think, a very small reward.
Yeah.
Because even if he gets past them, there's still the massive slipstream, and it's going to change every lap.
Yeah. Whereas if he just come out and sat on the back of the line, he can then battle for victory. Whereas now he's lost that hope, at least for now. We'll see if he can try and close that margin. It's 2.2 seconds, and he's got, of course, the likes of Zupanek and Baldi hunting him down. But if he gets involved in that pack, maybe there'll be a little bit of extra work to push them up, because that's quite a large pack that may work quite well together, at least for the next 10 or 15 minutes, and they'll work well together. What a drive at the moment, though, from Moritz Lerner, who's 1.2 seconds off the front end of David Nagy, and pumping in some pretty decent lap times. If he runs mistake-free, he's going to be quite close to broken that slipstream. He's not quite out of it yet, and I do feel it is going to come down, but there is hope for the German. Is that battle between Zupanek and Baldi. Of course, those two teammates will hold in line. Kirill Antonov and Jack Keithley, two of the most aggressive drivers on the grid. And you can see there, even by the line that Kirill Antonov took through the final part of Ascari, he absolutely lobbed it over the final curve there. Halfway to go, halfway through the race. I don't feel Kirill Antonov and Jack Keithley will wait their turn in the same way that the likes of David Nagy does. Will remain to be seen. Terrible luck for Kirill Antonov last round back in Zandvoort in the first race. For one, he didn't really have pace, but then had a technical issue, and then obviously got spun off by Lucas Vera.
Yeah, we could just see Garibaldi talk to someone, so he must have some sort of open microphone or so.
Oh, who's that in the background? Is that...
It's Pinchas and Barner.
Was it Pinchas? I think it was... Where is Pinchas?
Oh no, it's Gomez. That's actually Gomez.
Yeah, Pinchas is down in 19th place. God, this race has gone from bad to worse for Pinchas. Gomez then was trying to get down the inside of Martin Barner. I think he'd be better off at the moment sitting on the back of him, the Argentinian driver. And just trying to push him up to the back of Jack Keithley and Kirill Antonov, and then getting involved in that battle, which, like we said, if they start going pretty quick, you never know. That could be the train for the lead eventually. There's still a long way to go in this race. An update on the gap between Lerner and Nagy. It is still 1.2 seconds. This is looking very, very good for the German at the moment.
Just over halfway of the race distance.
I'd say for Lerner as well at the moment, regardless of whether he drops back towards Nagy and Sciuti, and this is a very much a touch wood at this point, although he's not really the normal driver to make a mistake, and I don't feel like he's going to get battered off by either of the other two. He's in a very, very good spot to at least get that first podium of the season. At least that. I think Farkash is in the pit lane. Leandro Vela is definitely in the pit lane. So a decent time until they have to make that pit stop. Of course, that the pit window will close with 15 minutes to go in the race. So another 13 minutes, basically, slightly less than. Bashley is also in the pit lane. Joining back to Gogo Barry then, pushing his teammate, Kirill Antonov. Is he going to go for something here? Is he going to try? No, he's sitting in line. Very, very smart. Gogo Barry just sort of, I think, gets out of the way just in case and maybe trying to cover off Kirill Antonov. But Kirill Antonov and Keithley also very much eyeing up a bigger prize. Only 3 drivers then yet to stop. Florian Haase, Ferenc Nemes and Corentin Ponto. The only drivers yet to stop. Of course, we've had 2 retirements as well. Gianmarco Fiducci and Dobsa. Only 2 retirements from the race as Christian Juhasz and Emre Cihan switch positions. Terrible race for Emre Cihan. We don't really know what's happened to Cihan, but considering he was running decently up the order, I think he was running in 6th place on the first lap. Now all the way down in 20th. Things really have not gone well for the likes of Emre Cihan, for the likes of Tim Yarshall, for the likes of Adam Pinches as well. So there's an endurance round not gone too well, and that's not really the greatest attempt of a move as Christian Juhasz has fired across the De La Rosière chicane. Really lost it on the brakes there, did Emre Cihan. He's going to get a monster slowdown here, and Farkash is going to try and go around the outside of Lesmo, maybe pinch it back down the inside. It'd be a fair slowdown though between those two, and there it goes again. Oh my goodness me! Are his brakes going or something? Because that's not.
I think Juhasz took the slowdown there. That's why he caught up so much all of a sudden. And Farkash on the outside, in the car that is bronze at the back and blue at the front, pushing himself through there in the middle. Oh, Juhasz holding on.
And Shabashlai was also trying to get involved in this. He's in 22nd place at the moment. Emre Cihan then a couple of mistakes in the brake there, even with Juhasz's slowdown and firing off the end of that. You kind of feel hard pressed for Juhasz if through a slowdown that was given to him by Emre Cihan, that then Emre Cihan got by because of that slowdown. That would be a bit rough. But nevertheless, you'd assume there's going to be a swap of positions at least some point here between this quartet. Here we go then. Farkash, the one closing at the moment in the number 7 car. Oh, I thought he was going to go for the bump drive then. Christian Juhasz is going to get dropped a little bit by the 7 car. Emre Cihan was almost looking for a way through the middle and get involved. All the way around the outside is Shabashlai, who's going to go around Emre Cihan. Contact on the apex between Christian Juhasz and Farkash. Shabashlai drops in behind Emre Cihan as well, so they remain stationed at the moment. That was the most aggressive way to make it stationed.
That's not over yet.
No, it certainly isn't. De La Rosière is always an overtaking opportunity, outside or inside. Juhasz, though's got it pretty well covered off. Going around the outside, it's a bit late on the brakes, though. Is he going to be able to get there for the apex? No, he is not. So Farkash is definitely going to have to drop that one because he'll get a slowdown from that and probably have to drop to being the 4th car in the line. As Emre Cihan's now back up into 20th place, and Shabashlai. Oh, he's looking down the inside of the second Lesmo. I was a little terrified then. Not able to take advantage there.
Yeah, they lost a little bit of time now compared to Juhasz and Cihan.
I think Farkash was giving the rest of that, the time penalty that we got from that, the rest of the slowdown. Oh, touch of contact there. Oh my goodness me, no way. Nearly going side by side. We lost them behind the tower there as Corentin Ponto has come into the pit lane. So leaving Nemes and Haase out at the front. But yeah, it's not really an ideal overtaking opportunity, going side by side through Ascari. Jack Keithley there now looking down the inside of Kirill Antonov. Whether he's meant to commit to that or not, he's not going to take advantage of that move. And we'll just go back to hitting the back end of the Russian. Thinking, whoops, I didn't actually need to dive you there. Sorry, mate. Let's continue to work together, please.
Just a bit of time.
That's why Jack Keithley wouldn't want... I don't think, anyway, he would have wanted to do it. But now he's seeing those two drop away. He's thinking, I've got to get on with this, mate. Oh, they're going to go side by side for De La Roche. There's going to be contact between the two. No, but Kirill Antonov does cut across the corner. That will surely give him a slowdown. He does drop back in line behind the Englishman. And yeah, that was pretty intense between the two of them. Neither of them really yielding. And Kirill Antonov, the one paying the price for it in the form of a slowdown. And now going to come under pressure from Martin Barner and Juan Manuel Gomez. Emery Chihan now looking down the inside of Christian Juhasz and does get that one done. Oh, further contact between the two, and now it's going to be Farkash as well trying to get involved in this. Contact between Juhasz again, a little bit more, and Farkash and Shabashlai also down the inside. That was brave to at least attempt that, but he's going to have to hold 21st as Corentin Pointeau has come out behind me, so this all moves up for a position. You can see Pointeau in the background there in the green and white car.
Haas is in the pits now as well. So Ferenc Nemes takes the lead of the race on his debut. I hope he read the grid mail that he has to do a mandatory pit stop.
You would hope, wouldn't you?
Let's see where Haas comes out. I think he should be around Barner. Barner has caught Antonov.
And Antonov is still very much with Jack Keithley, and those lot have dropped off.
Oh, where is Keithley?
Oh, he's just Keithley, isn't he? Yeah, he has. Oh, there's another one for Jack Keegan. That's a shame. That's like the third or fourth of this season as Barner's looking down the inside of Kirill Antonov. Oh, Antonov runs very, very wide, and he's going to drop that position to Martin Barner. And Juan Manuel Gomez as well is very much there. He's going to have to go around the outside of Curve of Grande, which isn't really going to work. He'll probably have to drop in line on Kirill Antonov. He is definitely there, though, and I think he's got the overspeed. He's going to have the inside for De La Roche, so he's doing quite well at the moment, is the Argentinian. Going to be on the inside for De La Roche. We know Kirill Antonov really sends it here, and we've seen him throw it across the chicane, maybe a little bit too aggressively. Oh, that was feisty between the two, rubbing all the way through it. And Juan Manuel Gomez for Snow Shatton heads up into 9th place. This is a great drive from Gomez.
Yeah, it's because there's still Nemes ahead, who still has to pit.
That's 8th place.
Yeah.
Florian Haasler as well dropped to P11. Through that, so you were right, he comes out around this kind of battle, but just a little bit off the back end of it.
And Antonov is losing time now at this stage.
Indeed. By the way, it's 1.5 seconds now between Moritz Lerner and David Nosh, if you want an update on your race leader, as we look at Bence Banki, who's on the back of Zoltan Suti.
Just lost another driver. Who was that?
Who was that? It wasn't in the top 10. Don't know. It wasn't in the top 10 though, I know that much, because they're all still battling for like 9th and 10th and stuff. Oh, we'll find out, I'm sure, a little bit later on, and we'll try and figure out who it was. But Bence Banki, either way in all of this, is on the back of Zoltan Suti on the battle for 4th place, as after the pit lane cycle, he really threw away his chances of a potential victory. Not thrown away fully, but he's dangling them out the window. And wondering what could have been at the moment and trying to keep himself focused in the final 20 minutes of the race. Of course, 25 minutes is the length of a normal sprint race in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. So we've got just under that, as Juan Manuel Gomez has got, or was passed, I think, by Kirill Antonov. He must have made a mistake down at, or it might have been a contact between the two, because obviously he's fallen back now into the clutches of Florian Haasler, and there was a good 3 or 4 seconds between the two of them. Something's happened there for the Snow Shatton driver. Now the German behind is going to fire it instantly down at De La Roche. Oh, there's contact between the two. A little bit of a pinch there from the Argentine. Oh, my goodness me. Where's Florian Haasler gone? He's going to try and keep his foot in and recatch the car. That was very close.
Where it just goes through. He also loses the places to Frigoto and to his teammate, Tim Yarshel. I think Yarshel's got a good pace, despite this damage.
Yeah, Yarshel's doing great.
Oh, now the battle is on for P3. Banki has caught Suti.
Is there still that potential victory on the line for Bence Banki? There's still a fair way to go in this race, and it's not the most tyre wear circuit, but you can bring it back in. You can reel in that gap through a little bit of it, and obviously mistakes and pressure is what could really make the difference today. There won't be too many laps at the end of this one. I think it'll be in the region of about 9 or 10 more once they cross the line. It should be 10, based on being sort of like 57s, 58s.
Lemus is in the pits now. So Moritz Löhner takes the lead of the race. Let's see if Bunky's going for a move here. I think there's no benefit anymore to staying behind Suti.
No. But for Zoltan Suti, he'll want to keep Bence Banki behind because it's his teammate ahead, and he's going to try and make it around the outside of Rettifilio, but does drop back in line on Bence Banki. But I'm sure for the Red Bull Racing esports driver, this battle is not done. Mirror Esports will try and get Zoltan Suti ahead of Bence Banki once again.
That's probably enough if he just goes for an attempt here.
Right.
Like he has to defend, and he will lose so much time by it.
Here he goes, looking down the inside of De La Roger.
Didn't close the corner completely.
No, and he is still there. Oh, just kind of backs out. But that's exactly what you're saying there. He's costing himself time. He's run wide through the exit, and Zoltan Suti nearly got back down the inside. You saw him flashing a light there. He wasn't really happy at the move across there from Bence Banki. But Bence Banki is basically doing what he has to do now to try and catch the top two. Because the moment that he lets Zoltan Suti by, it's done. There's no hope by that point.
Yes, but it's almost 3 seconds gap already to David Notch. Who had a stellar pace throughout the race, so maybe that's all Bunky can hope for here.
The only way those two are going to catch is if they absolutely lock together, old classic NASCAR style, and just push each other around, which I don't really see happening, Rob. I don't think that's going to happen between these two. So then it more comes down to if Noj and Lerner start fighting aggressively. But David Noj has still got a lot of effort to do to close that 1.3 second gap.
Finally figured out who was the other car that disconnected. It's Chihan.
Oh yeah, so it is.
Chihan out of the race.
I didn't notice that on my lifetime. He's the bright red one. Or the other bright red one.
So Chihan out, Keithley out as well, Fiducci out, and Dobsa out. We lost 4 cars, a bit more than usual, but it's a long race on a difficult, well, not the most difficult circuit, but you've got high curves, high speeds.
When you have a crash here, it's a big crash. That's the thing. Yarshall has got by Frigato whilst we stare at this, as there's a bit more of a swap between them. Zoltan Suti now going to cost Bence Banki even more time as we head into De La Roger. This time he's on the outside, and you'll be damn sure that he'll at least try and commit something here. Nope, just drops back in line. Nice work. There's not really fancying the move around the outside. Whilst it's gone, you said a lap ago it was 3 seconds. It's now nearly 4 between Banki and Noj.
Yeah.
Zoltan Suti very much earning his paycheck today.
Yeah, and with Suti, I wonder if he will maybe contest the rest of the championship as well. He missed 2 rounds, but he was in the first round and he took quite a significant amount of points. So you could still have a chance for the top 10 here. Of course, top 10 get prize money.
It's 2 drop scores as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So he hasn't really lost anything. And a lot of his rivals, drivers like Bence Banki, they are competing in the GT Masters Championship as well, which will have some clashing rounds, at least on the same day. So it will be very difficult to get up to a high performance when you swap from a rear-wheel drive GT car to the front-wheel drive CUPRA Leon Competición. So, yeah, perhaps some opportunities here for Zoltan Suti in this championship.
We definitely make something of it, and I had brought up a little bit, last time we did an endurance race, was that the drop scores, you really want to have a good endurance race, because you don't want to drop score in an endurance race, because you're more likely going to need them in a sprint round, where you've got 2 different races, and the likelihood of one of them going wrong is actually a lot higher. Zoltan Suti then, inside, outside, goes back to the outside into Rettifilio, and you can see behind you've got the trio of Benzu, Panet, Gogabaldi and Martin Barner all working together. Zoltan Suti is going to have to go around the outside, again, just costing time here to Bence Banki, and I fear, at least for Bence Banki, this battle for the podium, if this lot all were to work together, of course, Martin Barnum not part of Mirror Esports, despite being Bulgarian, if they can work together, this battle for the podium could really spring up, especially with Suti fighting this hard.
Yeah, the thing with Suti is he's never really committing. He's just positioning himself in a way that, you know, Banki can't afford to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And that Banki has to drive a defensive line, but he's never really going for it. So I think Banki will be really annoyed right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just it's a nuisance. Is what Zoltan Suti is being at the moment to Bence Banki. Well, Zoltan Suti is very experienced in sim racing. I believe I commentated on him back in 2013 in some open wheelers in the Formula Sim Racing, one of their Legendary World Trophy or World Series. So like what is basically their second or third series, and he raced back there back in the day. Shubashlai and is that Farkash that he's battling with, or is that?
It is.
Yeah, it certainly is. Going very much at it, leaving De La Rogier.
There's an interesting story about Sylvester Szoboszlai, and that is that he has a brother who's sim racing as well, Balint Szoboszlai, who was in the WTCR Championship, for example, and they also drove a Hungarian Championship recently, which was supported by Norbert Michelisz, the WTCR driver. And in the foreground we see Juhász meanwhile. Well, they both drove on the leaderboard, but they couldn't both drive in the race that they qualified for because they only had one simulator. So Norbert Michelisz sent him a steering wheel. So now Szoboszlai is driving on the steering wheel of the reigning WTCR world champion Norbert Michelisz.
It's a pretty fun thing, and it's nice. That is a very nice gesture from Norby to send that over and to think about like having the competition on the grid. Kind of what you'd like to see more, and yeah, very good from Norby. As we see those two, Christian Juhász and Nimesh, going side by side ahead. Let's back up towards Zoltan Suti as well. He's leaving it down the inside again, just leaving it there, so Bence Banki cannot go for that apex. It's now to 5 seconds.
It's not illegal at all. It's just how the track works.
Like I say, for Zoltan Suti, he's stopping Bence Banki going after David Noj, which is very, very helpful. He's also dragging David Noj back to his teammates, back to these two, back to Bence Banki, Bence Banki, Bence Zupanek, and Gogo Baldi. So he's doing his team a massive favour here by basically just being very annoying to Bence Banki. And I've been in the position that Bence Banki's in. This will be annoying him to no end, and this is where the red mist really comes into it. It was always David Young, or Mike, Mike even. Mike always used to do it to me as well. It's very frustrating.
No frustration for Moritz Löhner, no podium yet this season, but still with this performance, looking like it might be even a victory.
Stunning drive thus far for the German. Was finished in a classic turn of events last year, finished 4th here. Of course he did. But it would be a very well-deserved victory should he get it in 10 minutes' time. But he's got a lot of pressure to deal with from David Noj behind. David Noj looking not only for his 3rd consecutive victory, not only to basically stabilise this championship lead that he's got a very large lead in, and he will be pulling out even further. Oh no, he won't, because he'll be closing in, because obviously Moritz Lerner is 2nd. But either way, he'll be doing very well in the championship in comparison. But also, he would be the first driver to take 4 victories in the CUPRA SimRacing Series. And the first one, of course, to take 3 in a row. So there's a lot to play for the Hungarian of David Noj, and what a turn of form it has been for him. And really had the victory stolen from him last season, as Martin Barno's looking down the inside of Gogo Baldi there, didn't commit to it. But David Noj, last year, like I said, it was the final 5 minutes of the race. David Noj was leading from Bence Banki, and David Noj had a disconnection in those dying moments, and that was heartbreaking. Comes here today, maybe he's looking for a little bit of reconciliation, maybe looking for that victory today. But there you can see at the bottom of your screen, Gogo Baldi and Jack Keith are the only 2 drivers to win twice at Monza across competition. Moritz Lerner would be joining them on 2 if he could finish in this position at the moment. What was the other thing that Moritz Lerner won?
Well, he won in the Porsche Community Legends in the 2nd race. He won in the 1st race there. And Martin Barna, car in the back of the shot here, he actually won here as well in the Hungarian Championship. Gogo Baldi took the 1st race victory, and now they're directly behind each other.
And of course, Gogo Baldi's other victory here was at this circuit in this championship last year. So that's when that those two have come from. And then we can see Ben Zupanek receiving a push from Gergo Baldi still. The 3 Hungarians eyeing up a potential podium. Oh, just had to cover him off there. Not fighting his teammate. That's not what the look down the inside is from Gergo Baldi. He's just trying to cover off Martin Barner getting involved in this battle. He's trying to allow his teammate to catch those two. I think Bence Banki's just done enough to get Zoltan Suti. It's still sort of like 6 cents. It's still the slipstream, but it's enough where it's sort of not... He's not being impeded in any way right now. Apart from just seeing a really bright red car in his mirrors. All down the inside, Martin Barner looked again on Gergo Baldi, and you can see in the background there was nearly a change of position, but Gergo Baldi still holding firm in 6th place. I think Barner was looking down the inside into the first Lesmo, as we see further down the order, Christian Juhasz and Farkas going side by side off of Rettifilio. Christian Juhasz, I think, would have the advantage here. I know he's going to have the outside into De La Roger, but we've seen so many times it working. Oh my goodness me, that was aggressive.
Yeah, but it didn't help him. Farkas still gets the position.
No. Maybe he wasn't happy with his livery and wanted a bit of a change. He fancied eyeing up the bronze and blue that Farkas has. Not quite how it works, unfortunately, but...
This has been the battle of the race, I think. They dropped Chaboslai a little bit now. And Ponto still behind them. Stayed out a very long time. Nemes actually is ahead of them now.
Yeah.
He's running in P16, and I think he's the second best debutant. If you count Gergo Baldi, of course, and Frigotto.
Oh, not happy there with that weaving. I wonder if he came to blows because he switched positions with Florian Haase. That's why we jumped to it.
Yeah, Haase lost a lot of places. He was ahead of Yarschel even before.
Yeah. Wow, this race has really fallen apart for Euronics. Looked all right at the start, but not great, as Barner's now really trying to get past Gergo Baldi now and try and split the Mirror Esports drivers. Not going to do it there, as Gergo Baldi is going to receive a bit of slipstream from his teammate and compatriot. Martin Barner's looking pretty handy for a top 5 right now. Depends how aggressive he gets, and you can see they're lurking in the background, the rush of Kirill Antonov. If he gets to the back of this, you'd expect some fireworks. There was not too many laps left of this race. I think it should be 3 laps left once we cross the line. Still a few more attempts at least, and the more that Martin Barner fights, the more that Kirill Antonov close into this. You can see ahead of it, it's still 6 tenths between Zoltan Suti and Bence Banki. A race leader still Moritz Lerner from David Noj. Everything's still very much status quo up to the top. This is the real change that we could see here within this within the top 10. Juan Manuel Gomez is 4.5 seconds off the back of this, and Leandro Vela, who's done a great job as well for Snowshatten inside the top 10. About 2.5 seconds off of his teammate, 2.3 or so clear of Tim Yarschel. There's the other Snowshatten esports driver, having battle with Adam Pinches and Florian Haase behind. The season's not really going well for Florian Haase. We saw him struggle in the ADAC GT Masters esports qualifiers as well. He wasn't particularly strong in there. He was fast, but his races never really came to him for Florian Haase.
Yeah,
I wonder if this is just not really his year.
I think he will actually still gain some places, because Keithley and Fiducci both don't score at all. And Chihan also doesn't score. So
yeah,
won't be so bad. He could get 2 for 1 here.
Indeed, giving a little bit of a push to Gustavo Frigotto, who's now on the back of Adam Pinches. A little bit of contact there from the Brazilian. Now go around the outside as Florian Haase is going to leave it on the inside for the apex, throws it over the sausage curb on the inside and gains the place. Does Florian Haase. So didn't get 2 for 1, but did get at least the first. And now eyes up the Hungarian of Adam Pinches. See if there's a move in there for Frigotto. Oh, it's going to be contact.
Was a bit too late on the brakes there. Only really cost himself.
Just a touch of contact. Didn't really do too much. He's still very much out of it, so don't panic. It's all good. The idea, by the way, that Ben Spanky was pulling away from Zoltan's duty is very much over, as that battle is very much back on. As we look at Martin Barner on the back of Gogo Bowdy, not really been the race for Gogo Bowdy, running in 6th place. But he's done well. He's just the last of the Mirror Esports drivers. But to be fair, to be the last of the Mirror Esports drivers of the 4 of them in 6th place, that's not bad. It shows how strong they are.
But for Martin Barner, I think it's been his best race of the season.
Oh, absolutely.
Ahead of Antonov, who's leading the championship earlier on.
The early form from Kirill Antonov hasn't really carried over to the Zandvoort and to here at Monza.
Yeah,
he's still very much a top 10 driver.
And the same story for him, for Fiducci, and also for Pinches, who were really far at the front in the beginning, but dropped off a little bit.
Indeed. I mean, look at Pinches now. He's down in 12th place. Look at Martin Barner. Oh, he's going for it. He's really going for it, and he is there. I think he's got this one done. A little bit of contact on the exit, gives her the old hip and shoulder on the exit of Rettifilio, and that is the position finally done for Martin Barner. He splits the Mirror Esports drivers. Bent Zupanek has now got a very different Hungarian behind him, and I think Martin Barner is going to be eyeing this up into Della Roger. Which way is he going to go? To the inside, to the outside, or touch of contact?
Should try immediately here. Otherwise it will get difficult, because Baldi will be right back on it. And now Antonov as well. Oh, contact there between Antonov and Baldi.
There'll be a lap after this, I believe, because they crossed the line with enough time to do it. So this is the penultimate lap of the race, and everything's getting very feisty here for the 5th place on the road. A top 5 finish would be pretty handy for the likes of Martin Barner. A nice form as well for Bent Zupanek, and a resurgence for Kirill Antonov if he can do it. There was a switch of positions between Fragotto and Haase. I think Pinches as well, who's very much a part of this, certainly is. Fragotto then is going to lead Haase and Pinches for this battle for 12th place that's remaining very, very feisty. And Haase is maybe trying to make it go all the way around the outside into Ascari, decides better of it and backs into line. Now stares down the inside as Adam Pinches behind, who's fairly aggressive himself for AAA Esports.
Oh, Barner's got to slow down.
Ah, that's a shame. That would have happened through Ascari. Kirill Antonov looking very, very feisty now out of the final corner and starting the final lap of the race. Moritz Lerner out front. In the background, look at that. Ben Spanky, Zoltan Suti were going side by side. This is the final real attempts for Zoltan Suti to get onto the podium, and how important that would be for his run if he potentially stays within the championship this season. Defended nicely from Ben Spanky of Red Bull Racing Esports. Touch of contact there on the back end. And nice defence. Oh, my goodness me, this is getting pretty crazy. Gogo Bowdy getting a bit of contact there from Kirill Antonov. He gets a bit of contact from Martin Barner behind. Gogo Bowdy, I think, is going to hold this position at the moment, but running away ahead of that is Bent Zupanek, who's trying to hang on to the top 5. The podium, though, who's it going to go to? Ben Spanky's got another few corners to hang on to it. And Zoltan Suti's just not really aggressive enough to try and get by Ben Spanky there. Speaking of aggression, oh, he's going to do it around the outside again, and he's going to make it stick. Oh, he certainly is. Trying to go for the cutback was Gogo Bowdy, but covered off beautifully by Kirill Antonov. That was a very aggressive move, but very well judged from the young Russian. Very, very nice work. Martin Barner's now eyeing up on Gogo Bowdy, didn't make it stick. Kirill Antonov, 6th place. Only a couple more attempts for these drivers. Ascari is going to be ticked off for Ben Spanky. He's going to hang on. At least one more attempt into Parabolica, which is fairly easy to cover off realistically. It's more down to a mistake or not. Gogo Bowdy going to try and go around the outside. Oh, Martin Barner was on the inside there as they're going to get fired across. Oh, there's further contact, and Martin Barner's going to move up to 6th place. Gogo Bowdy to 7th, and Kirill Antonov drops down to 7th. At the front of the field, though, for the first time in the CUPRA SimRacing Series, for the 2nd time at this venue in his sim racing career in RaceRoom, Moritz Lerner, his first podium of the season. What a drive for Williams Esports. Get in, Moritz Lerner. Nice work. David Noj doing a great job to 2nd place, and having to deal with a lot of pressure from behind. Ben Spanky is going to hang on from Zoltan Suti. Bent Zupanek as well. Great drive from him to the top 5. Best of the season. Nice work. Martin Barner going to hang on to 6th place. Definitely his best drive of the season. Gergo Baldi on his debut in 2020 goes to 7th, and Kirill Antonov in 8th. Tim Yashul jumped up the order and then dropped down, I think. Oh, it's Gergo Baldi dropping down.
Yeah.
I think it's just a timing thing. I'm not panic too much about it now.
Inches just ahead of Rigoto here. Close battles until the end. How did the battle between the Hungarians end? Seems like Nemes comes out on top there. Juhas ahead of Farkas. I think Farkas must have gone off at some point.
Yeah, in the dying moments of the race, I believe he may well have done so. It was exciting last year, Rob, and well, it does remain, doesn't it? Moritz Lerner, what a drive, and a fantastic victory for him. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, fastest lap of the race goes the way of Florian Haase, who didn't really have a great race, finished down in 12th place, but with all the slipstream he was given, managed to set that fastest lap of the race. Moritz Lerner, David Nosch, and Bence Banki, a very deserving podium. Banki was on the podium last time that we came to Monza last season. Moritz Lerner was in 4th place, and David Nosch, had that disconnection late in the race. Zoltan Suti and Supanek rounding out the top 5. Rob, quality drive for Lerner.
Yeah, finally, the first victory of the season. Well done, Moritz Lerner. And Lerner, Nosch and Banki. That could be the championship battle. Top 3 of the championship. Top 3 here in the race as well.
Of course, if you want to, if you're excited by what you've seen, you can come and take part. You can just load up RaceRoom from Steam and click the leaderboard section and competitions and come and take part for the CUPRA SimRacing Series. The qualifier is open for the next round at Red Bull Ring. Of course, it's the sprint round, so it's 2 25-minute races where you can try and get yourself involved in the top lot. There's multiple splits as well. It's not just the top one. And we're approaching very rapidly halfway in the season. We've done the first quarter with that round complete, and another quality race this season, Rob.
Yes, indeed, another quality race, and I hope you will tune in next time in 2 weeks at the Red Bull Ring for 2 sprint races, 2 more quality races, a lot of slipstreaming once again, and the championship fight getting closer and closer. So that's it from our side. Thanks a lot for watching, thanks a lot for tuning in, and see you next time in 2 weeks.